For reasons that will become obvious, I've been thinking about Timothy Snyder's essential book on tyranny, especially lesson 1, which is do not obey in advance. Snyder writes, most of the power in authoritarianism is freely given. In times like these, individuals think ahead about a more repressive government will want and then offer themselves without being asked. A citizen who adapts in this way is teaching power what it can do. Jeff Bezos of the Washington Post has succumbed to exactly the kind of anticipatory obedience that Snyder was writing about, simply, it would seem, to protect his Amazon fortune from a potential Trump administration, which would, we know, be steeped in vengeance against Donald's enemies, real and perceived.
The Washington Post has just said, in terms of endorsing a presidential candidate, that it will not endorse a candidate this election cycle. And they will not be endorsing candidates in any future elections. I mean, they are changing decades of tradition for them at this point, 11 days out.
Because although, according to the Columbia Journalism Review, an endorsement of Kamala Harris had already been prepared by the editors at the Post and was ready for publication, Bezos made the decision to pull the paper's endorsement, and then he instructed William Lewis, the publisher and CEO of the paper, to write a transparently awful justification. Here's a quote from that article. We're returning to our roots of not endorsing presidential candidates. As our editorial board wrote in 1960, the Washington Post has not endorsed either candidate in the presidential campaign. That is in our tradition and accords with our action in the last 5 of the last 6 elections. Circumstances of the 1952 election led us to make an exception when we endorsed General Eisenhower prior to the nominating conventions. In the light of hindsight, we retained the view that the arguments for this nomination election were compelling, but hindsight has also convinced us that it might have been wiser for an independent newspaper in the nation's capital to have avoided formal endorsement. Lewis further writes, we recognize that this will be read in a range of ways. Well, that is actually probably not true. I'm pretty sure most of us are reading it in one way, but I'll get to that in a minute, including as a tacit endorsement of one candidate, or as a condemnation of another, or as an abdication of responsibility. That is inevitable. We don't see it that way. Well, you and Bezos certainly don't see it that way. We see it as consistent with the values the Post has always stood for and what we hope for in a leader: character and courage and service to the American ethic, veneration for the rule of law, and respect for human freedom in all its aspects. We also see it as a statement in support of our readers' ability to make up their own minds on this, the most consequential of American decisions, whom to vote for as the next president, unquote. The condemnation of the Post has thus far been near universal, especially of Bezos' abject cynicism. Marty Barron, who was once the executive editor of the Post, called the move, quote, cowardice, with democracy as its casualty, unquote. He added that Donald would, quote, see this as an invitation to further intimidate Jeff Bezos, concluding that it is disturbing spinelessness at an institution famed for courage, unquote. I agree. I mean, not because I think that endorsements matter that much. In 2016, 500 papers endorsed Hillary Clinton and only 28 endorsed Donald Trump. But this time around, this lack of endorsement is going to send a very specific message, especially in light of the fact that in 2016, the Post endorsed Hillary Clinton over Donald, and in 2020, it endorsed Joe Biden over Donald. So failing to endorse Harris will reasonably lead some people to believe that Harris is just as bad as the man whose 2 other opponents the Post supported.
Yeah, this is a big deal. The Washington Post is a left-wing publication. The Washington Post, remember, had the austere scholar language before. They are, by all measures, I would argue, one of the most left-wing publications in the nation. New York Times gives them a run for their money. And they are choosing not to endorse Kamala Harris. They have endorsed all the theories about what a threat to democracy Donald Trump is. Go read their editorial page. Go read their reporting. And they're not endorsing in this race. What a way to undercut, kneecap, totally undermine Kamala Harris's closing argument. This guy is a fascist. This guy is unpalatable. This guy is a threat to democracy. Oh, but we're not going to endorse in the race.
Much more importantly, though, this is, in my view, a monstrous abdication of responsibility in the face of the very real fascist threat that looms over us all, especially those of us who aren't billionaires. It's yet another stark and troubling instance of the failures of our corporate media to do its job. The Post motto is, ironically enough, democracy dies in darkness, even as those who run the paper seek to cast a dark shadow over the reality of the threats our nation is currently grappling with. The Post's recklessness here and Bezos's craven self-interest add to the already urgent need to support independent media like ours. We at Mary Trump Media and other outlets like us can fill the void that is being left by traditional outlets that have currently lost sight of journalism's mission, which is in large part to report the facts while ensuring that the Fourth Estate plays a crucial role in strengthening, not undermining, our democracy. Many of you are already familiar with the work we do here. You have heard the analysis and the perspectives of people like Waj Ali, Jen Tao, Danielle Moody, Brian Karam, Norm Ornstein, Tara Setmeyer, Dean Obadala, Dahlia Lithwick, and on and on. You know that we understand the mission. We never pull punches, and we never will. We will never hide the truth. We will always face the facts, and to the best of our ability, we will always shine a light in the darkest places. So, in those moments you most need the best information in order to make hard decisions, your eyes will be wide open. We're trying very hard to grow our channel and our media company because we recognize the crucial crossroads we stand at as Americans. Your support means everything to us. We would not be doing this without you. So please, if you could subscribe to the channel, like our videos, and share them with people who share our concerns about the future and fate of this country, we would be extraordinarily grateful. Thank you.